Okay, now so we will start, as I said, with things that we already took on Wednesday. And so we will revise this previous information about discrete and continuous data. And everybody can see my screen? Everybody can see my screen, Shabab Sabaya. If yes, please just send me a thumb up if you can see the presentation 19.1. Thank you, Hala, Jude, Sarah. That's great. Okay, so let's just make it a bit bigger and then talk about it. We talked about on Wednesday interpreting and drawing frequency diagrams. حكينا إنه frequency diagrams بعد the frequency diagram, what kind of frequency diagrams can we draw depends on the types of data that we have. A frequency diagram, it's a bit different when we are talking about discrete type of data compared to continuous type of data. When we are talking about discrete type of data, as we said, discrete type of data, we are talking about fixed numbers, we're talking about wholes. We might have fractions, but a little bit, the fractions can be halves, can be quarters, okay? But for example, discrete type of data, when we are talking about population, number of votes, in this case, we can't have halves. We only have whole numbers, لأنه we can't have half person or a quarter person or whatever. Okay, so discrete type of data, usually the frequency diagram, it's in the shape of bar graph. هدول البars لهم specifications. Okay, let's see how do they look like. These bars are, they have the same width, and there is equal gaps between these bars. Okay, we write the data or the group under each bar. We should, the frequency diagram should have a title, and we should label the axis, and we should have a sensible scale, especially on the vertical axis, which is the frequency. Okay, this is when we are talking about discrete type of data, and that was an example of discrete type of data that we went through on Wednesday, and we answered the questions related. If you can remember that, we already finished that. And then we talked about continuous type of data. And then continuous type of data, we're talking about measurements. We are talking about data where we have ranges in the data. When we are, for example, having a multiple of decimals, when I'm talking about height, mass, weight, I'm talking about lengths, I'm talking about distances, I'm talking about speed, for example. When I have a range in my data, okay, where I can, where that can contain lots of decimals, okay, this is what we call continuous type of data. In this case, we can't have just bars and spaces between these bars. No, we should have continuous type of data, and that is the bars, of course, they should have the same width, and there are no gaps between the bars. And we should see a sensible scale on both horizontal and vertical axis. We give frequency diagram, of course, a label, a title, and we should label these axes. ما في frequency diagram من غير title ولabelling للأxis, whether we are talking about discrete type of data or continuous type of data. أي diagram بالدنيا بحاجة لتايتل ولabelling للأxis. تمام؟ كمان we use a sensible scale على الvertical والhorizontal axis. Both axes should have a sensible scale. ومسألة sensible scale, we will talk about it when we are discussing examples. Okay, so this is what we went through on Wednesday. We took this example. هذا الexample كان عن mass. Once we talked about a mass of post office items or whatever. We answered it also on Wednesday. تمام? We're done with that. Then we stopped بالfrequency, sorry, when we are talking about continuous type of data. Continuous type of data, for example, this is one of the frequency type of data that we talked about on Wednesday. لازم نرسم شيء اسمه frequency polygon. إيش يعني frequency polygon? Frequency polygon, it's only for continuous type of data. ما بنرسم frequency polygon للdiscrete type of data. The continuous type of data, إيش يعني frequency polygon? Frequency polygon, you plot the frequency, which is the vertical axis, okay, against the midpoint of each class interval. Of each class interval. بنطلع midpoint of each class interval, okay, and we plot it against the frequency, and then we join them, and so this is how we draw a frequency polygon for continuous type of data. Okay, so the midpoint for the first interval, for example, it was from 0 to 200 until 100, Mali frequency 12, we just plot a point. Second, it was at the 300, I'm finding midpoint. So the midpoint Mali frequency. الثالثة midpoint Mali frequency. الرابعة midpoint of the interval Mali frequency. And then we just join them by straight line. Remember that you should close your frequency polygon. هلا teacher ايش يعني frequency polygon؟ هذا البوليجون. البوليجون it's a closed 2D shape. صح؟ حكينا عن البوليجونز زمان. البوليجونز it's a closed 2D shape. يعني this area under هذا الاشي ال red lines اللي we drew, this is what we call a frequency polygon. You might ask yourself, why do we need to draw a frequency polygon for continuous type of data? It's very useful in showing patterns, trends in the data. Yani, if you just looked at the first part, you will see increase in the mass. If you looked at the second part, you will find a drop or a decrease. The trend was decreasing. Imagine that, for example, we're talking about, let's say, profits in a company, okay, or losses. We can find that, for example, this company is making a profit and then it starts losing or whatever, okay? So frequency polygon, it indicates the trends and patterns in the data. تمام? هلا, that was, this is an example, okay, that this is a past paper question. هون we have masses, this is continuous type of data directly. كيف عرفت؟ بس من كلمة mass. بس يقول لي mass, height, weight, يقول لي length, يقول لي speed, يقول لي time, okay, كل measurements, they are continuous type of data. تمام؟ اوكي، معطيني لي frequencies وطالب مني midpoints. Anyone can help me finding the midpoint؟ في حد يحب يساعدني بالmidpoints؟ يلا، Sarah. بلشنا عشان سارة سريعة. She raised her hand directly. Hey Sarah, tell me, what is the midpoint? It is 45. طيب, second midpoint. سارة خليكي معي. مش مستاهل نغلب الصبايا على midpoint.
55.
It is 55. That's right. And the third midpoint?
65.
65. That's right. So we completed the table. Thank you, Sarah. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about. They want you to draw frequency polygon. Frequency polygon للدata. أول issue we need. Of course, you should write a title. The title is the same title as the that we have. Masses of students in class 9. We should label the axis, and we should use something called a sensible scale. قلت لكم رح نحكي عن sensible scale. هلا هون in the bottom, okay, we used 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 لأنه related للclass intervals اللي we have. تمام؟ طيب مس على frequency. How can I find the sensible scale? You check the numbers of frequencies that you have. طلع على frequencies. عندنا 4 و 12 و 8. You can use jumping 2s. You can use jumping 4s. You can use jumping مثلا, what do you think of jumping 10s? With it, do you think it will be reasonable? شو رأيكم بjumping 10s? مثلا هون. Anyone can say anything about it? Looking at these frequencies, بنفع jumping 10s? Selena, شو رأيك يا سيلي?
No,
It's not?
it can't be used.
ليش يا teacher?
Because if you will use for the frequency tens, and like most of the frequency is less than 10.
Yes, because we have 4 and 8. يعني تخيلي أول jump تكون 10. رح تتغلبي وأنت بتعملي labeling للpoint. That's great. Okay, so I would choose مثلا, for example, jumping 2s. ممكن يكون jumping 2s لأنه we have 4, which is a multiple of 2, وال 12 وال 8. طيب, what do you think of jumping 4s يا سيلينا?
Yes.
Okay, yes, we will go by that. سيلينا خليكي معي نرسم frequency polygon together. What do you think?
Okay, so
we will plot the midpoint against the frequency. What is the midpoint for the first interval?
So 45 with 4.
So we will plot 45 with 4. Second
50,
would be?
55 with 12.
That's right. And then?
65 with 8.
65 with 8. And what do we need to do, Selena?
We're going to close the polygon by drawing
That's
lines.
right. We will close the polygon. Okay. And how can we close it? Usually we go to the 0 or the midpoint in the second interval, or what we think it's the second interval. هلا remember بس شغلة, how do we close or where do we close the polygon? It has a specific way. يعني الحقيقة إنه إحنا ما بنسكر وين ما بدنا. There is a specific way to close our polygon, but this is a little bit above your level, so you will take it in next stages inshallah. Okay, in all cases we have to close it ينزل to touch the horizontal axis. Thank you very much, Selena. We drew the polygon. That's great. Okay, طيب, how many students are there in class 9? How many students are there in class 9? Who wants to help in that? يلا hands. أتمنى إنه يكون في حدا غير سارة وسلي. شوف مين من أنتم. سارة فروحة. لا فارس والله. فارس بنات. يلا يا teacher.
24 students.
24 students. Yes, you just added the frequency, Faris. That's right. They are 24 students. Excellent. طيب, what fraction of the students have mass less than 60 kilograms? Who wants to help? What fractions? They are asking about fractions, so I want a fraction. What fractions is less than, okay, 60 kilograms. أقل من 60. يعني هدول 12 وال 4. Okay, out of how many in total? أكرم. يلا يا أكرم.
16 over 24.
Pardon?
16 over 24.
16 over 24. Can you simplify that, Akram? 16 over 24. Can you simplify it, يا أكرم?
Yes, teacher, 1 minute.
يلا. كل المينتس اللي لك يا أكرم. I can help, Akram. You can divide in on 8 both sides. So, and that 16 divided on 8 بيطلع 2, or 24 divided by 8 بيطلع 3. So they are 2/3 of the students in class 90. تمام أكرم? Okay? Just send me a thumb up بس عشان أعرف إنه أنت تمام.
Okay, teacher.
Okay, yeah, تمام. Yeah. This is another example. Here we are. We have Ahmed carried out a survey on the length of time. بس قال لي length. This is a continuous type of data. Length of time, okay, patients had to wait to see doctors at 2 different surgeries. The table shows the results of the survey. So directly once we have time, length of time, okay, that means it's a continuous type of data. We need to find the midpoint of each interval. So who wants to help in that? السريع هدول ما بدهم إشي. يلا يا هي سيلينا الثانية, مو سيلينا محمد, الثانية.
So the first one is 5.
Yeah, the midpoint is 5, and then
15.
ليش مش عم
25 and 35.
اوكي, بس انا مش عم بيطلعوا معي يا سيلينا, عم بيطلع معي جواب اللي بعده. استنيني دقيقة اكتبهم.
Okay.
يلا احاول اكتبهم هون. So when the pointer, here is it. Okay, excuse my handwriting. So this is يا ما ابدع ال5. سن سيلينا, شو رايك بال5 تبعتي؟ Thank you. You can just laugh about it. That's it. Okay. Thank you. طيب. The first midpoint was 5, and then let's go to the pointer again. It's a bit slow. And the second midpoint is
15.
That's right. Third point, midpoint.
25.
Yes, that is 25. طبعا انتوا فاهمين الخطي الرائع. Okay, so it's 25, and then after that it's
35.
Yes, that is 35. That is right. Okay, so it's 5, 15, 25, and 35, and the same goes for the midpoints in the second in Pritchfield surgeries. That's right. Thank you, Selena. And excuse my handwriting. I'm sorry about it. بس كتير صعب تكتب على الماوس على فكرة. طيب, and then let's go by first question. How many people were surveyed at each surgery? Yeah. How many people were surveyed at each surgeries? شوف مين. أنا منذر. منذر كيف حالك؟
الحمد لله مس.
كيف حالكم؟ تمام؟
تمام.
تمام يلا يا منذر. Answer. How many people were surveyed?
50.
50. هي طلعت أصلا. Okay. Thank you يا منذر. They want you to complete the table. Okay. بلشنا نعمل complete للتable معناتها فيش داعي للخط الرائع تبعي. Okay. هلا here we are. We have on the same grid, we need to draw frequency polygon for each set of data. Okay. And according to the table that we have, we will just draw the first Oakland surgery, we will draw in red. For Pitchfield surgery, we will draw in yellow. We have the two frequency polygons. And then they will ask you, compare the two frequency polygon. What can you say about the waiting time for each surgery? مين بقدر يعمل لي هيك conclusion مثلا? Conclusion. How can you interpret these two frequency polygons and give me a conclusion? طلعوا على الجراف in front of you. طلعوا على waiting time for Auckland surgery. Okay, check the waiting time. How many people waited for 5 minutes? How many people waited for طلعوا على Pitchfield surgery. Most of the people waited how many minutes? They waited almost 25 minutes. And give me a conclusion. شو رأيكم؟ مين بيقدر يعمل هذا الإشي؟ In general, waiting time كان وين أعلى بأوكلاند ولا Pitchfield surgery? Check the number of people who waited 5 minutes and check the number of people, for example, in Pitchfield who waited 5 minutes. Look at the maximum wait they waited in Auckland and Pitchfield and check مين أكتر كان ال waiting time. بس سيلينا اللي رافعة إيدها. قولي سيلي.
In Richfield surgery, the more people waited more time.
Okay, so in general, let's say in average, the waiting time can be Auckland surgery is less or more? Less than Pitchfield. Okay, that's great, Selena. So what we're doing now, we're interpreting these diagrams or frequency polygons and drawing conclusions from these data that we have. So we can find that over 3 times as many people had waited less than 10 minutes in Auckland surgery compared to Pitchfield. Or we can say that more people had waited over than 10 minutes وين هذا الحكي صار ب-Pitchfield surgery. Okay, so you can draw any conclusion that you want comparing these two sets of data that we have. As I told you, the frequency polygon, it shows trends and patterns through the data that we are interpreting. تمام؟ هلا, this is the first part. I will stop the share. And if you have any question, we can answer that. Let's stop the share for this part. And anyone wants to ask anything about this part? Frequency polygon, discrete data, continuous type of data. ما عنا صح؟ خالد شعبان. خالد حضرت معنا انت حصص قبل هيك. I'm really glad that you're with us today. كمان اليوم شفت انه محمد حجازي اجى حضر من بكير كان معنا. So thank you and you're mostly welcomed. انا مشتاقه لكم كلكم على فكره. نبيه دايما معانا، ركان ابو شويبه معانا، رايا، راما. اوكي بس اليوم participation لمنذر that was great. ومحمد حجازي I would love to hear you participating in our class. Okay, so I have the second part رح نحكي عنه اليوم which is interpreting line graphs. كتير قريب من frequency polygon. So I will share the second presentation which is interpreting line graphs. Okay, well, interpreting the line graph is something very simple. Okay, it's not complicated at all. We will just take examples, interpret them, and answer questions related to that. Anyone, everybody can see the shared screen? If yes, please just send me a thumb up. بس عشان أتأكد. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, here we are. Thank you, Faris. Thank you, Selena. Okay, here we are. وينه؟ هاي. We're talking about interpreting and drawing line graph. A line graph مش كتير بعيد عن frequency polygon. Okay, it's a way of representing data. So the main outcome for today will be interpret and draw line graph. Okay, what do we mean by a line graph? It's a series of points that are joined with a straight line. Okay, they are usually used to show trends, and which tells you the data changes over a period of time. Okay, so احنا قبل شوي كنا بنحكي عن frequency polygon. We have horizontal axis, something that is changing على horizontal axis ممكن يكون mass, length, weight, whatever. وعلى vertical axis كان عندنا frequencies. تمام. So that was showing the frequency polygon كان عم بيورجينا trend or patterns. A line graph in general, it shows the change in one of the data on the data. For example, weight, mass, let's say height over a period of time. فكتير بيكون في أغلب الأحيان بيكون عندنا على vertical axis it's the time labeled by the time. So we're finding, for example, change in price over time. Okay, change in weight over time. ممكن يكون growth chart. Change in height, for example, over time, and so on. تمام? Also, we draw to draw the line graph, you have to make sure that you consider few points. إيش هم هدول few points? You have to put the time دايما على horizontal axis. You use an appropriate scale على vertical axis. Okay, you plot each point accurately. You join the points with a straight line. You give the line graph a title, and you should label your axis. You can draw more than one line on the graph. بنسميه double line graph, وممكن يكون triple line graph, and that is very useful in comparing two sets of data. You can also use the line graph to predict what will happen in the future. This is in case a line graph is taking a certain trend. يعني عم بعمل increasing. That means you can follow the same trend by increasing. ممكن يكون decreasing line, so you can follow the same trend. But if it was fluctuating يعني increasing or decreasing, in this case you can't use it to predict what will happen in the future. تمام. هلا this is a line graph ونبلش على الexample هاد. Okay, this is a company profit. تمام. The line graph shows the profits made every year by a company over 6 years period of time. شوف شو حطونا this is the profits they are making عندنا time على horizontal axis. Okay, we have through a couple of years, 6 years تقريبا من 2006, 2007, 2008, and so on. Okay, and they will ask you questions about it. So you're just interpreting. So if I asked, who wants to help now? How much profit did the company make in 2006? 2006 profits. Remember, these numbers are in millions. So these numbers are in millions. فما حدا يقول لي 2 ولا 3 ولا 4. بدي حدا يقول لي 2 millions, 4 millions, and so on. هلا رمادنا. يلا يا هلا.
1 million.
Pardon? It's
1 million.
That's right. It's 1 million for the first year. That's right. What about the second year, Hala?
It is 1.5 million.
That's right. 1.5 millions. That's right. Excellent. Okay. In which year did the company made the largest profit? Muhammad Hijazi. Muhammad? The largest profit?
Teacher in 2008.
محمد كيف حالك؟ أنا I missed you a lot. وأنت بالذات you know that you are a very special student. قولي يا محمد أسمعك مرة تانية بس كان لازم أقول لك إنه أنا I missed you a lot. Okay. يلا. Which year did the company make the largest profit? In
2008.
Yes, thank you very much يا محمد. It was in 2008. Thank you. طيب, between which 2 years was the greatest increase in the profit? Greatest increase in the profit. ها؟ فروحة. يلا يا فرح.
Between 2007 and 2008.
That was right. It's between 2007 and 2008. That's great. Thank you very much. Okay. Describe the trend in the company profit over the 6 years period. كل 6 years period. أنا كأني شفت قبل شوي إنه نبيه was raising his hand. ولا بطلت نبيه؟
نعم بلا بجاوب.
Thank you. يلا.
Teacher, the company's profit kept increasing until 2008. It reached 2.5 million and then started decreasing until 2011.
That's great. Okay, so we can say that through the first 3 years كان في عنا increase in the profits, بعدين صار في عنا decrease in the profits. The company made start decreasing the last 3 years. That was right. Excellent, yeah, Nabi. Okay, so again, what did we do here? We didn't draw the line graph, but we interpreted the line graph. يعني إحنا we found information, or we answered questions, we made conclusions. Okay, considering the data shown in the line graph. Okay, here we are. They will ask you, okay, to draw a line graph. Okay, what do we have? We have maximum and minimum temperature during a week time, min Monday till Sunday. Okay, so that was in Athens, Greece during 1 week. That was in April. Okay, and they want you to draw a line graph. If I want to draw a line graph, few things that I need to consider. أول إشي يا شباب انتبهوا، هلا هذا مرسوم already، بس شوفوا شو رح نعمل. أهم شيء لازم ننتبه إنه إحنا once we're talking about period of time وين لازم أحطه؟ على horizontal axis. Temperature, okay, I have to consider a sensible scale considering the data that I have. طلعوا مثلا بلشوا من 10، ما بلشوا من الزيرو، لأنه هون none of the temperatures was less than 10. This is the first point. Second, temperature was on the vertical axis, and then they gave each temperature measurements a line or a color for the line. فمثلا maximum temperature أعطوها blue line, minimum temperature أعطوها red line أو purple line. Okay, and they drew 2 lines, and that would make it easier to compare. بس أطلع على الجراف كتير أسهل علي to compare the 2 measurements, maximum مع minimum. كتير أسهل من إني أطلع على التable اللي that was on top. Okay, so now after we draw the 2 lines, they will start asking you questions about it. Well, like, describe the trend on both sets of data. Who can tell me? Who can describe the trend? 2 sets of data قدامك على الجراف. Line graph. شو عم بيصير لهم? Increasing. بعدين decreasing. من which day till which day it was increasing. After that, what happened? Okay, look at the 2 sets of graphs and just make a conclusion. Can you help? Anyone can draw a conclusion? Anyone can describe the trend? بس سيلينا وسارة. مين بحب فيكم تجاوب؟ سيلينا وسارة وفرح هاني. فرح يلا يا فروحة.
Okay, from Monday to Thursday, they began increasing.
Yes, they
and
were.
Then they began decreasing from Thursday to Monday.
So we can say, excellent Farouha, that's right. We can say that the temperature was increasing from Monday till Thursday, then a drop in the temperature gradually happened after Thursday. We can say that?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Check the conclusion. ماله؟ أين أنت؟ مش عم بيطلع لنا الجواب. Hey, a maximum temperature increase during the week peaked on Thursday, so we reached the peak on Thursday, and then gradually decreased by the rest of the week. That was right. What you said was right. On which day was the difference between the maximum and the minimum temperature was the greatest? In which day the difference between the maximum والminimum? شو رأيك يا فارس بنات?
Friday.
On Friday that we had the biggest difference. Okay, let's see. Yes, that was Friday. Thank you very much, yeah, Faris. Great job so far. تمام. Yeah, let's continue. بيعلق أحيانا. بسم الله. Okay, this is the last exercise that we will talk about when we are talking about interpreting and drawing line graphs. Okay, well, like the line graph shows the number of visits made to wells by people from the rest of the UK between 1990 till 2010. Okay, use the graph to estimate the number of visitors made to people in 1995. How can we find that? 1995. ما عندي 1995, so what can I do? I just go in the middle. Who wants to help? We're estimating. Remember the line graph, in this case we are estimating once in we don't have Rama an accurate data. يلا يا Rama.
Okay, so 1995 it will be 43 million, 44 million.
43 million, yes, because it's a little bit more than half. That's great. Type, between which 2 years was the biggest increase in the numbers of visits? Biggest increase in the numbers of visits. Biggest increase. أعلى line, between which 2 years? يلا نبيه.
Teacher, between 1998 and 2000.
That is right. Excellent. Okay, نفس question. We're talking about this question. Between which 2 years was the biggest decrease? Biggest decrease in the numbers of visits. Numbers of visits. في عنا 3 participants. في عنا راما وفرح ونبيه. راما هلأ جاوبت وفروحة جاوبت. سيلينا. يلا سيلينا.
Between 2000 and 2004.
اوكي هلا between 2 years لازم نشوف between لما بيجي بقول لي 2 years يعني 2000 2002 ولا 2002 2004 you have to check. Okay, so we will go by
So 2000
and 2. That's right. That is right. Thank you. Is it possible to use this graph to predict the number of visits that happens in the UK by 2012? Can we use it? Is it possible? طلعوا على الtrend. Do we have a general trend? Was it increasing all the time? Was it decreasing all the time? Can we use this trend? Selena Muhammad. قولي لي يا Selena. Can we use
No, because it had no pattern. It kept increasing and decreasing like rapidly.
Yes, that's right. We can't use it to predict. We can't use it to predict what will happen in 2012. It might increase, it might decrease. It didn't follow a general trend. It was fluctuating. It was going up and down each and every time. So that's why we can't use it. Okay, I'm done with this part. We're left. There's something very important we need to go through tomorrow اللي هو راح يكون stem and leaf diagram. كتير ضروري إنه إحنا نحكي عنه just to revise it. Okay, it's a way of ordering numbers, and see you tomorrow inshallah rabbil alamin. I will end up this meeting today. Thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you. We're done for today. Have a nice day.